Okay, guys, this is going to be episode 2 of the start in the beginning of this home. As we've been talking about, investing your crypto profits into real estate. One idea would be to create some spec homes and or income producing property, even better. Airbnbs, fourplexes, apartments, that kind of thing, so you have residual income the rest of your life. You can see since the last episode, this lot has now been completely cleared, and we have a little bit of a pile of dirt over here because we're going to build a retaining wall over there. Once we build that wall, we've got to take that dirt and put it behind the wall and compact it, and so we've left some dirt on the lot for that purpose. But you can see some staking here, some string lines. We've begun the process of staking it out. I just want to point out some things to you. When you begin to stake out a lot, every lot, of course, has property corners and property lines. That's what that red pin is down there. That's a property corner. So there's one of those on all 4 corners. From those corners, depending on the zoning of your lot, you will have side yard setbacks. Front yard, side yard, and rear yard. In this particular case, this string line here, this is the property line. This string here is actually the front setback. So on this particular lot, from that red pin over here, we're back 20 feet from the street. Now I actually went 21 feet because I don't want anybody to tell me we're too close after we've dug and poured footings. So I've offset it a little bit. And this side is only 5 feet. You can see this property line here, but just barely right over here is the other one, only 5 feet away from there to here. On this side yard setback, I went 5'6". Again, just giving me 6 inches of play, so there's no question or concern or argument from the neighbors. So now I've got my side yard setback, I've got my front yard setback, and this basically becomes the corner of the house that's going to be laid out on this lot. So keep that in mind. You'll have to look up your particular zoning and find out what setbacks that you have. Now, you can see here we've started, it's actually the garage on this house, these orange markings you're seeing. But before you can really lay the house out completely, you obviously want to lay this house out to where it is square. So if you think about it, if I go 12 inches this way, 12 inches this way, that's a 90 degree, right? Well, the diagonal across them, 12 inches this way, 12 inches this way, is actually 16.97 inches diagonally. Makes a perfect 90 degree. So if we want this house to be laid out square, the way we're going to do that is I've got an orange stake there that I have placed in the corner. I've gone 50 foot that way. Then I've come off that same orange one and come 50 foot this way to this orange stake. And so now this is 50 foot from there. And what I do now is I pull 2 tape measures, 200-foot tape measures. And I pull this one 50 feet that way. And then remember, my diagonal is 16.97 inches per foot. So 50 times 16.97 is 848 point something. Basically works out to 50 feet that way, And then from this stake, pulling a tape over to that 50 foot, it would be 70 foot and 7 inches. So when the two tapes cross, when 50 foot crosses 70 foot 7 inches, we set another stake, and that means we got 50 foot that way, 50 foot this way on a 90-degree angle. Once we have a straight line there, a 90-degree and a 90-degree this way, now we can pull parallel dimensions off of that line, off of this line, and keep the house and lay the house out square. So our intention, what we do is we put a property pin at each corner, and we'll lay this house out in all of its jogs and everything that it has in it. And then what'll happen is, this is Tuesday. Thursday of this week, I have an excavator scheduled to come over and to dig these footings. Now remember, this line is actually the outside of the house. Okay, this is the outside of the house. But my footing needs to be over here. So what we do, we spray the actual outside of the house. Remember, we're gonna have 8-inch thick block. So it's actually gonna be on the inside. But our footing is gonna be 2 feet. So we're gonna have 8 inches out this way. So what we do is we tell the excavator to dig this. If you can visualize an excavator's bucket, he's got teeth on the bucket. And we tell him to dig 1 tooth out. So he'll take one of his teeth and go outside this orange line so that he's digging it wide enough for the footing to be 8 inches this way, and then 8 inches for the block and 8 inches to the inside, so that this block stem wall for the house is dead center of that footing. So that is telling your excavator just to dig 1 tooth out. Okay, so this is how we begin to lay it out. Remember, you find your property pins out front, you pull back your setbacks. You're gonna have a side yard setback. In this case, it's 5 on one side, 12 on the other. We have plenty over there, and 20 from the front, and I think just 15 in the back. But we won't even get that far. We'll just start here, and we'll go back 68 feet until the house quits. But the lot's 100 foot deep. So I hope that helps some. Again, remember, to lay out your house, you want to be at a 90-degree angle. I always like to start with a big square, 50 by 50. And if you go 50 foot one way, and then pull 2 tapes and cross, we're 50 foot and 70 foot 7 inches, pulling 2 tapes. When they cross, you will have a 90-degree angle and can pull parallel dimensions from that and lay the whole house out, and you know that it's going to be square. And each step along the way, you guys, it gets refined. You know, right now we're in dirt, but once we do that and the block layer comes in, he starts laying up block. You know, he'll have a concrete footing, he'll snap lines on the concrete footing and get even more accurate. And as we begin to go vertical on this building, it gets more and more accurate. Once the framer comes in, he corrects any mistakes the mason and the concrete guy might have made, but ultimately you end up with a really square house. So that's it, we're started. We'll probably shoot a video when the excavator comes and starts to dig this, so you can see that whole 1 tooth out. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 2 feet deep. In our area, you gotta be concerned with what the frost line is in your location. I'm in northern Arizona. We have to be 2 feet deep to get the concrete below freeze. You don't want the concrete to freeze. It does freeze, thaw, and then the concrete will crumble. So you have to get below the freeze line. Up in Utah on Salt Lake area, they have to be 30 inches deep. So you have to look at your area. If you're in Florida, you probably got 18 inches, or, you know, Mesa, Arizona, same thing. So you got to look for what your freeze line is. So we'll dig these 2 feet deep. And once we dig them, we'll have the backhoe guy kind of take his backhoe, turn it upside down, and knuckle down and drag that solid and flat on the bottom to help it stay compacted. And then we'll come in and start putting rebar in the footing. Once the footing is dug, and we put rebar in it, we'll call for inspection from the city, and the city will come out and look at that rebar and say, okay, you're good to go. There's a couple other things we'll have to do that I'll do another video on about what needs to go on in the footing before you pour it. Things, sleeves, conduit, different things, for grounds, things like that I'll tell you about when we actually are putting the steel in. But for now, we're underway. We're getting started. So, hope this is helpful. Sorry I had to have the camera turned around, but I can't flip it during a video. If somebody knows how, tell me in the comments, will you? But if you like this stuff, subscribe to my channel, share it with others, repost it on Twitter. All of that is helpful and appreciated. Thanks, guys. This is just something that you can learn while we're waiting for this dang crypto market to do something. And congratulations on your new Songbird tokens for those that were part of the snapshot. So thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.